Hallo miteinander, I'm Gescheh6 and this is Diablo II, Lord of Destruction. This was the hot game of my teenage years. I got both the base game as well as the expansion on release, and I played them for hundreds of hours, more than anything I've ever played before. I hadn't touched it for so long, but I still remember this captivating title screen. Such a classic. Never looked any different. I may no longer have a Battle.net subscription, but I've still prepared a few characters for us. Among them is my favorite class from back in the day, the Kasha Warlock. Let's be honest, it was everyone's favorite class. So good, that one. Those of you who still know this game will recognize this gear. It's what pretty much anyone who wasn't a complete dick nugget would wear. When it comes to our skill specializations, you bet we're that kind of warlock. Misfortune, Spirit, and Dolls. Let me tell you, if you're going online and you admit you're anything but an undead Barbie playing goth lolly, you're going to be ridiculed out of your skin. Anyway, we're in Act 3's hub, the Myoren Temple. I always liked the NPCs here. For example, the wise and articulate Tiger Demon Sho. Renosuke, last survivor of the human village, is also here. I can't believe Blizzard killed him off in Diablo 3. What a bunch of fuckfaces. My favorite of all, however, is the one you gamble with, Suika Ibuki. I know these graphics are old, but damn, she is a beauty. Unfortunately, she can't hear us over the sound of her boobs. She sure has some noisy boobs, alright. We are going to do a Sanai run. Now this was how I got all my fattest loot back when I was young. Sanai has a big drop table and is easy in every sense of the word. But the way we are now, with only our Arabian mercenary who always dies at the end, we won't be a match. We need some summons, and they are our trusty Shanghai and Horai dolls. They are absolutely adorable and totally not skeletons. Of course, a Kasha Warlock's most important primary weapon are his pretty magic homing butterflies from the Netherworld. What's so special about them is that they carry a pretty rare attack element, gayness. Enemies with the homophobic trait take extra damage from them, and the most relevant ones in the game do have that. Should they still somehow fail us, we also have the satanic and forbidden art of necromancy at our disposal to revive our fallen foes as allies. We're going to spend a little more time on this floor, so that you can get better acquainted with our class. The exit lies in the north, but maybe we'll find some good stuff while fighting. You never know on a Sanai run. Apart from those, I also did loads of FS runs back in the day. That kind of run goes against a specific monster during the 4th quest of Act 5, which can drop any item of the game. The letters FS were part of the Battle.net jargon and abbreviated the monster's name, Foreskin. I was tirelessly slicing up foreskin in my youth. That changed when I switched to Diablo 3, which did not include him. Diablo 3 just had no foreskin, and come to think of it, it wasn't well received. I think what annoyed people most about Diablo 3 was the fact that you couldn't make mods for it. All your characters and relevant game data was stored on external servers, and any modders that tried to fiddle with them would only receive the infamous Error 37. Now, our version of Diablo 2 here is 100% vanilla. All of you must know my stance on mods by now. Modders are absolute cancer. I wholeheartedly support Blizzard's decision to make Diablo 3 online only and get rid of those pests. More on that later. Right now, we have to kill Daijose. Daijose is an especially strong member of Sanai's council. The council members have always been one of the most memorable mobs of Diablo 2. They carry pretty terrifying names. The other two of this floor are located in the eastmost and westmost chambers and are called Lily White and Lily Black. There were also 3 more council members guarding the shrine itself. Their names were Sunny Milk, Luna Child, and Star Sapphire. Damn it, Blizz, that is just way too scary. I can't even play Diablo 2 when it's too dark outside. Such a spooky game, jeez. Here's the mentioned Lily White, the notorious Herald of Spring. If you die to her, you'll see a special cutscene, in which she puts your character's head on a pike for display. It's a pretty hilarious Easter egg, always cracks me up. It's high time we faced the human-turned goddess, the miracle-working Wind Priestess, who is also as evil as she's irresistible, Sanae Kochia. And let me tell you, she sure is evil, and in turn very sexy, like, oh boy, I would insert myself in that. Sanae attacks with swarms of frogs as well as falling on Bashira poles, all perfectly in line with the rich mythology Blizzard has created for the world of Sanctuario. Our minions are doing a great job distracting the boss while we are whittling down Sanae's health. A bad strategy on her part. Girl was always boobs over brains, and now she's dead. Good. Our useless mercenary who always dies at the end did not die at the end of the fight this time. He already died near the start, actually. Did we get anything good out of the whole affair? Honestly, I don't know. I didn't really pay any attention to what the items even were. We could call it quits at this point, and I would really like to. I have much better things to do today. But you're all so very demanding. Therefore, we're going to pick another character I prepared and take on a much bigger challenge. It's Izayoi Sakuo, the Oni Brawler, my absolute #1 favorite class of all time. Izayoi Sakuo has a Time Resonance Fists build, which makes him so perfect and elegant. He's a beefcake of a man who ain't afraid to wear women's clothing, unlike you. You are afraid of him wearing women's clothing. Our objective is to best the treacherous Sanzu River and conquer the fabled fantasy heaven. A task that would be impossible for anyone but us, because we have the power to manipulate time and throw an absurd amount of kitchen knives. We also have the voice of a Night Sparrow to gain powerful buffs. We'll do so in a second. And finally, we can summon a mighty ally. Those of you who are utter fools will think that ally is a bear, but it is actually Unzan, the gentle old man with an anything but gentle fist. Seriously, a bear? Like, what reality do you live in? Anyway, I wanted to talk a little more about mods and games. As I said, I despise them. Did I ever tell you that I worked for Rockstar Games? Yup, I'm actually the person who chartered our newest EULA. You know what that is, the things none of you read but agree to anyway. I am really proud of how it turned out. The EULA prohibits anyone from using mods, and if you do it anyway, we just take your games away. Even the single player. After all, you don't own your games. That's ridiculous. Video games are clearly a service. This is a difficult area, and Oni brawlers are not easy to play. Of course, I have had thousands of hours worth of practice. I would get up at 5 AM to play as much Diablo 2 as I could before my jerkwad of a brother woke up. He would hog my PC to burn CDs with low-quality episodes of Dragon Ball Z. Oh, by the way, we can hurt enemies by singing. Very badly. Since we have points in resonance, we can channel the vocals of 18 consecutive times reject of American Idol, Mistia Lorelei. Here's a representative sound clip of her. I did it my way. Legendary, wasn't it? Returning to Dragon Ball Z piracy, you've probably seen them, the "if you've paid for this, you've been ripped off" ones. My brother was actually the first person to bring them into circulation, which made him a pretty penny. Oh, he'd be going on quite the spending spree if he weren't serving jail time. We've got an arduous way ahead of us, and unique pit lords with the stone skin trait aren't making us any faster. Runs on the Fantasy Heaven tend to take 22 hours on average. Did you also know that Diablo 2 was the first game ever to have a player die from exhaustion in front of their PC? Yup, it happened on this very type of run. Since it's such a lengthy affair, let's skip straight to the final boss. All we have to do is activate the last 2 of the 5 seals, and our antagonist will appear. We don't even have to kill the enemies that spawn, they'll all die on their own. So, who is the final boss? In a game of the name Diablo 2, who could it possibly be? The best hint we are getting is this sweet and womanly voice we're about to hear. Yeah, it's obvious. We are up against the Shrine Maiden of Paradise, Reimu Hakurei. She immediately slams a massive yin-yang orb on our head, and also instantly shatters poor Unzan, who looked nothing like a bear. Reimu also uses homing amulets and streams of persuasion needles against us. Ouch! Surprisingly, our other useless mercenary who always dies at the end is holding his own. Never mind. It was bound to happen. Reimu is extremely difficult. Only 17 people on the planet have beaten her before. Of course, I'm among them. Diablo 2 can be infuriatingly hard in general. I remember that one time I died to Regal Nightbug's kick attack in Act 2 and got so pissed I unplugged my PC and threw it from the balcony. It would have shattered on the sidewalk, but luckily a neighbor was passing by down there and he cushioned the impact. I would have never been able to afford another machine. Anyway, our best attack against Reimu are the homing knives we've assigned to our right mouse click. They are incredible, so much so that their use has been outlawed for official tournaments. Some overpowered items and skills had to be. As another example, Amazons aren't allowed to use the Burizado Chingchangchong as well as the Wind Passer. Amazons are pretty shitty garbage in PvP because of that. Another factor that makes Reimu so legendarily tough are the mobs she constantly births. You can bet they're all illegitimate and from different fathers. You know how Mikos are. Girl has to give some incentive for those shrine donations. We are making great progress. Reimu's under 50% health already. Oh, I hope she drops a Stone of Michael Jordan. In case you don't know, that's a special ring that gives plus 12 to jumping, plus 8 to dunking, and minus 5 to acting. All that wouldn't be very interesting, but on Battle.net, folks have adopted Stones of Michael Jordan as a sort of universal currency due to their rarity. You see, what the game itself uses as money, yen, is worth about as much to players online as the dump I took this morning. Remu has a pretty high chance to give you Stones of Michael Jordan, but the best drop rate for them comes from the Hakutaku Queen of the secret Hakutaku level. For the longest time, people thought that level was a myth, but it really does exist. There are many such rumors around Diablo 2, and most of them are lies. The stupidest of them all is that there is supposedly a monster called Diablo somewhere. That's rich. Diablo is Mexican for the devil. What do you think this is? Some Christian Bible game? I don't want religion in my hack and slash. Seriously folks, just stop with the nonsense. Things are looking good. Remu can't possibly take much more. And that was the final hit. So powerful, we almost crashed the game with it. The vile Remu is no more. The only main character that remains now is Marisa Kirisame, who you fight in Act 5. However, I think it's time to end this stupidity. Happy April Fool's Day, everyone! This is, of course, not vanilla Diablo 2, but Pesco's Remu 2 Lord of Maidens mod. It's not especially new actually. You could put Toho in your Diablo for a few years now. I guess I've just been late to the party. Well, not true. I have known about it for a good while now, but I've never found the motivation to reinstall my old copy of the game until I asked myself the question, what silly oddity to show you for this year's April Fools. Surprisingly, Diablo 2 and its expansion are really easy to run on a modern OS. I was wondering if I'd get it working at all, another mental barrier that kept me from it. But Blizzard has made some official patches to keep the old stuff functioning. Pretty sweet of them. As for the Lord of Maidens mod, it's pretty cool, and no, I of course do not hate mods. I am the last person to do so. It changes far more than just the monster and NPC names. The character-specific items affect your skills much more than anything from the base game would, and the Toho specializations make for some very unique builds that you could not have otherwise. Take our Sakuya Barbarian for example. I think there is a throwing weapon specialization in vanilla Diablo 2, but I don't think it's at all viable. I've never seen anyone use it before. With the Toho skill trees, it can be done, balancing seems better. It's definitely not underpowered and feels more like playing an Amazon. An Amazon that can also freaking teleport. When playing with this mod, there's one thing to watch out for though. The changes tend to make the game much harder in certain situations, so it's not at all about having an overpowered fun time, as you might expect at first sight. Some of the additional abilities bosses have can be absolutely brutal. The thing with Diablo 2 is that it's not hard in a way that most action games are hard, as in you need good hand-eye coordination. It gets difficult more in a sense of tediousness. The mod may make situations tedious when they weren't before. Overall though, I recommend Remu 2 Lord of Maidens. Maybe you're a fan of both Diablo and Toho and have somehow never heard of this weird union of the two. If so, try it out. With that, I'm Gashady6. This was my April Fool's special for 2017. I hope you enjoyed being tricked. Bis bald!